Shane Armat, a young man of 17 years. This is his third season. We've got Scott Dennis, Ron Nunnally, the free running scorer, Mark Davis, of course, and Brett Wheeler. For Sturt, we've got Brett Maher, Chris Hampel, Jason Williams, Dean Matthews, and the big centre there, Jeff Bickmore. And the benches, David Hurley, Scott Thurr, Stuart Clark, Kane Janudis, Shane Atkins, and for the Sturt Sabres, Andrew Williamson, Nick Glover, Wade Hampton, Tom James Martin, and Ryan Kinghorn. Now the coaches for the sides, Don Shipway for South Adelaide, Michael Rule for Sturt, and I welcome now in commentary Mike Dunlap, the 36ers coach. Welcome, Mike.
It's good to be here, Peter. It's an exciting night, and I think that I'm going to have to tip South.
South by 16, I think, was your call a little while ago. Yes, well, they'd definitely be favoured. I would say they've played Sturt twice this year. They've beaten them on both occasions. The first time 88-17, then 94-78. A big crowd in at the Powerhouse tonight, which is great to see. And South Adelaide first use of the ball.
Yeah, they're going to try to establish a pattern of play. That would be taking the ball to the basket and then getting the ball in Davis's hands as much as possible.
Sturt, the underdog, I suppose that the focus would be on Sturt's defence.
Definitely. Sturt's going to have to start with their defense, but with their offense, and that means using a lot of that clock, because that's the only way they're going to stop the powerful Panthers tonight.
Brett Maher obviously a key for them, as well as Jeff Bickmore. Now, Brett, I understand, has been scoring very well in State League.
Yes, his last game he shot over 80%, had 38 points, and he was a main factor in the win against Forestville, for example, and he's going to have to assert himself.
Good defense there by Sturt, and how is South going to deal with Brett Maher? I mean, obviously he's a key for Sturt, so South have a plan for him.
He'll see a lot of trapping, and they'll run two at him to get the ball out of his hands and then deny it back to him.
Such a good player, though, Brett Maher, and he's very fit.
Yes, for a man his age, only 22 years old, he's got a lot of poise to his game. Very classy player.
Just moving it around the perimeter now. South Adelaide. Shane Armat there, number 8. Now Scott Ninnis takes the long one.
Yes.
That's a good start.
That's right. Wide open three. Sturt's very cognizant of Davis, and they were doubling him there, and then Ninnis found himself open, and I think Shane Armat and Ninnis are going to have to take those outside shots.
Bickmore now for Sturt. Gets the shot away, but no points. Sturt are going to have to take those.
Definitely. Sturt's going to have to take the open shot, but some of them they're going to have to turn down just to wind that clock down, because the more time South has the ball, the worse it is for Sturt.
So with South Adelaide strong inside, do you think that'll open up some perimeter shooting for them?
Definitely. It's just a matter of moving the ball around and making sure they get it inside on each possession.
Now Sturt, Bickmore again. Can he take this one? Gets the shot away. No. It was there, but it wasn't. So Sturt 2, trial South Adelaide 5.
Definitely. And with Sturt, again, it's hard to establish a pattern of play or detect that. I think they're quick shooting it a bit much, and if I'd be concerned if I were their coach, just simply because you want them to settle down.
Ron Nunnally has been just an outstanding player for South Adelaide. He scored 32 points in their first victory over Sturt this year, and 19 in their next one. On that occasion, in April, South 94 defeated Sturt 78. Mark Davis had a game-high 29 points in that game. But at the other end, Jeff Bickmore had 28 points. He's a big 6'8" centre, and he's an imposing figure, and really he must play well tonight in this grand final, along with Brett Maher, to keep Sturt in it.
Yes, Jeff just scored there, and he's very good on the catch and shoot. He's got long arms, he keeps the ball high, and it's a hard shot to block. And he and Brett Maher are going to have to be in the high 20s in order for Sturt to win tonight.
Nice baseline move there by Scott Ninnis. Gets the ball back to, put some spin on it then. It didn't quite go for him, but that was well tidied up by Brett Wheeler.
Yes, that's Wheeler's third rebound, and we're just shy into this game. And I think that the thing is that Wheeler will dominate the boards tonight if he just keeps around that glass and stay out of foul trouble.
Brett Maher now for the Sturt Sabres. Have certainly come in the hard way in this final series. They just made the final four, and just on percentage from North Adelaide, in fact. So they've worked very hard. They're hungry. They're the underdog.
Yeah, the tempo right now, Peter, is definitely in the Panthers' favor, and Sturt is going to have to slow this thing down. Marr again saw a double on a rotation. Ninnis went up in the air, and Davis was right there to contest the shot, and he's going to see that all night long.
Bickmore again gets the shot away. Great work by Marr.
The thing about Brett Marr is people don't give him enough credit as being a good rebounder, and in the NBL he's one of the leading offensive rebounders in the league at 6'2", so I think that speaks volumes for Brett's effort level.
A couple of times, Mike, I've seen him get so high. I mean, I imagine he'd be a great high jumper.
Yes, he gets up off of 2 legs as well as anybody in the NBL.
Great interception there by Ron Nunnally. He has a 6th, maybe even a 7th sense from Nunnally. He really knows where the ball is.
Mark Davis there doing some work on the boards. Might be a bit of frustration there because he didn't get the first one, but you can count on Mark getting that second rebound and putting it in.
Scott Ninnis now. I know you're impressed by Shane Ahmad.
Yes, he's got a lot of poise for a 17-year-old, and there aren't too many people that pass the ball better than Shane Ahmad. I think he does have a 6th sense, and probably that comes from his father, who's as people in South Australia know, his name was Michael, and he was an unbelievable talent.
Yes, the late and great Michael Ahmad, an Olympian for Australia. Now Sturt, good strong drive in there.
There's Marr showing his jumping ability again, and he's really a factor on the offensive boards. Fine play by Brett Marr.
It's a nice strong drive by Chris Hampel too, and Sturt need to do that. They need to vary their attack, don't they?
That's right, and Chris is going to have to step up and take some of those open shots. But the concern for Sturt is that they're still quick shooting the ball, and that's understandable because they got a lot of adrenaline flowing now. But as the game unfolds, they'll slow it down even more. We've
got a timeout here, the first one at the Powerhouse in this 1995 men's grand final. South Adelaide against Sturt. South lead 13-6.
Look out, Australia.
What are you doing?
Welcome back to the Powerhouse with South leading 13-6, and Mike, a very good crowd in here tonight.
Yes, I'd say there'd be about 4,500 people in the stands, and there's still some people coming in, and that's a statement to the quality of the basketball that we're seeing tonight.
Brett Marr to the line.
Brett Marr shoots somewhere around 90% from the free throw line. A fine shooter.
So an exciting opening to this game. Very quick, free-moving South Adelaide. Of course, they're very strong inside with Davis and Wheeler, and Nunnally is the phantom.
Right there again, we saw the isolation to Davis. If South brings the ball down the floor 5 times, Davis has got to get at least 4 touches of that basketball. Whether he shoots it or not is irrelevant, but it establishes the pattern of play, and they've already done that.
So Jeff Bickmore is going to have a tough night out there.
I would think so, and as we speak, he just scores. There's a steal by Chris.
That's just his signature shot, isn't it?
That's right. He's one of the finest mid-range shooters in the NBL, and certainly when you add him to the State League, he can do it as well as anybody.
Nunnally gets in close. That's a classical Nunnally drive there. Just weave the bend, and it's very hard to defend, and normally he gets those.
Beautiful pass by Brett Marr to Chris Hampel.
So a nice little spurt by Sturt to bring it up to 14-15. South Adelaide leading by 1. We've got 2 20-minute halves in this grand final. 13.5 minutes to go in the first half. The imposing figure of Mark Davis.
Yeah, that's an interesting matchup down in there, and I think that they're going to have to pay attention to that, because if Mark Davis gets going in this game, I don't think Sturt has anybody that can guard him.
Jeff Bickmore. Dean Matthews, now Bickmore, baseline shot, and he gets it. So 16-17. They're scoring at both ends at the moment.
Brett Maher and Bickmore have been able to score freely as Davis has, and that's why you have a tight game here. We've had a couple turnovers, and Chris Hampel shoots a layup again. Panthers, quite frankly, needed to be taking care of the ball a little bit better with their guard play.
This is a high-quality game, Mike.
Definitely. I think you're going to see a lot of to and fro here, and if this thing goes into the second half tight, then the pressure really turns to the Panthers because they're expected to win.
So Mark Davis is the target, obviously, every time in there.
Right, and they have Dean Matthews on him. That's an interesting matchup because he can't be all of the 6'2", maybe, and he's trying to guard Davis. So Davis has got to take advantage of that matchup.
Maher made superb position there, working hard, but Shane Ahmed takes it away. 12 minutes to go, first half. Great
Beautiful pass. Beautiful pass by Scott Dennis to Ron Nunley. Nunley runs the floor as well as anybody on that floor out there, and that was a nice pass by Scott Dennis.
Nunley's a phantom, isn't he? He just gets into that spot that no one else can seem to.
He's non-stop. He just keeps running and running, and you won't see any change in his energy level. He's hard to guard.
Good strong drive there by Jason Williams for the Sturt Sabres.
Yes, Jason Williams and Chris Hampel have to be a factor in this game, as you've mentioned, Peter. If they aren't, again, it'll be a long night for Sturt ultimately. But right now, they've done a fine job, and hence you have a 19-18 score with South on top.
Great defense there by Davis. He is such an imposing figure. And away goes number 10 for South Adelaide, Kane Canutus. We'll get it right. Canutus. No points there.
That was a nice pass from Davis to end to Wheeler. And Wheeler missed an enclosed shot, but again, the pattern of play is being established by South. They're going inside.
So it's Kane Canutus to the line for South Adelaide. Sturt trails by 3, 18-21. Quick transition and a good move there by Dean Matthews to finish it off.
Yes, the thing that's impressive about Sturt right now is they've taken advantage of every turnover, and they've scored off of every turnover, and that's a high efficiency rating for them. They're very sharp tonight.
This is a grand final, of course, the 1995 Bassa men's grand final, and you'll expect very high work rate from all players.
You have an isolation again on Davis and Bickmore, and Sturt's been trying to stay away from Bickmore guarding Davis.
He's just got some instinctive plays, hasn't he, Mark Davis? The way that he drew that was just classical Davis. I mean, that's hard to defend.
The thing about Mark is he realizes when he's got an isolation, and he went right to Bickmore, and that's something that Coach Rule wants to stay away from, and that's why he's got Matthews on Davis, because if Bickmore gets into foul trouble, then it's going to be a long night for Sturt.
Do you think Mark is fully over that shoulder injury, Mike?
I think he probably is. In the last couple of weeks, he's moved into form, and I think some of that was just, quite frankly, mental, where he was afraid to get it hurt again or pulled on again. But he's worked hard to get himself fit.
It's just an extraordinary thing to happen at that stage in his career. I mean, say a much younger player, or a 21-year-old player, you expect them to recover, but Mark is at a stage of his career where that would just about, that have knocked 9 out of 10 players out.
That's right. Mark's special in that way, as you know. He can recover from injury faster than anybody I know. Jason Williams was applying good pressure on Scott Ninnis. He wrapped. Here we have good pressure by Jason Williams on that, and the ball went off of Ninnis's foot, but it seems to be in their hands, so that's the way it goes sometimes.
Kane Canutus again for South Adelaide. 10.5 minutes to go in this first half. 2 20-minute halves for the
in there, and if South will continue to do that, then that'll play to their advantage.
9 points, Mark Davis. 2 rebounds, 1 at each end. Working hard. Bickmore 6 points and 2 rebounds at the defensive end, and great athleticism by Brett Maher.
Nice drive, and if South wants to trap Maher, they're going to have to do it a lot sooner than what they just tried to do. Short shot by Ninnis there that was off the front of the rim. And the thing about Sturt is they're only giving South 1 shot.
Jason Williams doesn't quite work, but once again Brett Maher and scores.
That's Brett Maher's third offensive rebound, and all 3 offensive rebounds have led to scores.
There's a lot of desire in rebounding, but there's also some great anticipation. And some people say you're lucky to be in the right spot, but you've got to be able to read the ball.
Again, I know it becomes redundant after a point, but South is staying with the game plan and going down to Davis with the mismatch down in there, and you know, they're playing to their convictions, and I think that's good for them. And Sturt is taking advantage of every situation, and I think it's a tribute to Coach Rule. He really has a well-disciplined group, and they truly play as a team.
I suppose in one sense, though, Mike Rule would know exactly what he's up against. I mean, there's no mystery out there in South, is there?
No, Mike's played in this league a long time. He was a fine player, and I think he's just done an excellent job of getting his players to play to their strengths, and that obviously would be Maher and Bickmore, and then Jason Williams is filled in very nicely. And again, Matthews, I think, is the key too, because he's a smart player.
The other thing he's got going for him, of course, is winning finals form, and there is nothing so infectious in sport as winning finals form.
That's right. You know, the Panthers could come out and be tipped to win 100 games, but on this particular night, Sturt could take this game from them. That's why we're all here.
Long shot there from Kane and Janudis again, but no points, and now Sturt have the opportunity.
Again, a tight game. It's 26-24 to South, but I think Sturt's doing a nice job of picking their spots of when to use the clock and when to go.
Not the freest shot to see. Just
no, Wade won't take too many of those. Good patience being shown by South right now. They'll work the ball around again, and you can guarantee that Davis will see it.
There it is. Signature shot from Davis.
Nice tip back by Wheeler, and that's where the 6'10" comes into use. Strong move by Davis. Wheeler on the boards. Mark Davis finishes up.
There was definitely going to be a basket there with Davis on one side of it and Wheeler on the other. It had to happen. 24-28. Sturt trail by 4. But they're playing a very heady game here at the Powerhouse in this grand final.
8 minutes left, and right now I think Brett Maher hits the big 3 there. And the score is 28-27 South.
Maher 13 points, 2 assists, 6 rebounds in what 12.5 minutes of basketball is a very sweet night out so far.
That's right. Again, if he goes the way he's going, it's going to be a fine game. Good strong move by Wheeler on the baseline there against Bickmore, and Bickmore has to be careful not to foul. That's why he's probably not more aggressive. Again, the game plan for Sturt is to keep Bickmore out of foul trouble.
Davis 13 points for South, Maher 13 for Sturt.
The one thing that South has not done yet is forced Sturt to come out of their patterned offense. We haven't seen a lot of trapping like we had anticipated, but you can better bet as we're sitting here that's going to happen at some point in time in this game.
Substitution with 7 minutes and 14 seconds to go. First half, South lead 30-27.
The player that's given Sturt a lot right now is number 6 that we're looking at, Chris Hampel, and he's had a fine effort. He's sprung himself open a couple times for layups, and he's playing fine defense.
7 assists Sturt, South 3. So Sturt certainly playing a team game in there. Another big rebound there from Maher, once again showing his ability to leap. Well, only Scott Dennis can do that.
That's right. He's got unbelievable quickness, and he showed it there. Nice pass to Wheeler for the finish.
Well, superbly structured there by Scott Dennis.
Scott Ninnis off the steal, brings it down length of the court. Nice easy pass to Wheeler for the finish.
5 points is the lead now to South.
Come here, Scott.
Maher again takes the shot.
That's unfortunate. Jason Williams over the back of Shane Ahmet for the foul, but you can't Brett Maher being assertive, taking a three-point shot. Jason Williams over the top, got called for the foul, hence no 2 points. But that's good aggression you like to see from your players, and you don't want to you don't want him backing off on that. Nice play by Jason Williams. Bad luck.
Some good scoring here in this game so far. South shooting at 45%, Sturt at 48%. And this is a high-quality game, as Mike.
Nice steal by Brett Maher again. Down to Chris Ample. He's taking it all the way in for the layup. Again, Chris Ample, to me, is why the score is 32-29. He has 8 points.
Under 6 minutes to go now in this first half. As I mentioned before, 2 20-minute halves and a limit of 5 fouls.
Again, you have the mismatch. Davis went to work, and hence you have the foul.
Substitution. We see Kane Janutis coming in for Ron Nunnally. Baseline from Davis, gets it back as you would expect, turns around and just puts some lovely little spin on that ball and gets a lot of points that way, Mike.
You're playing off the mismatch, and he's just too strong down in there. Chris Ample is feeling it. He gets his 10th point. Sturt's doing a nice job of working the ball around, and right now you have a hot player in Chris, and they're using him, and South has been using Davis to go to work. It's just a lot. It's a good game, as you said, Peter.
Whoa. And it's also a grand final, as we just saw then, Mike.
Yes, tie up on the ball. Here you have a left-handed hook by Brett Wheeler. He pulls the ball back in on the offensive rebound. If he had kept it up high, then the little fella wouldn't have got a piece of it, but he paid the price.
Yes, Brett Wheeler.
Yeah, you'd have to tip Brett here to get this joke.
Well,
as we speak, he doesn't.
Oh, that was beautifully,
there's Chris Ample's 12-point, but I might add that Brett Maher's had the last 2 assists to Chris. Here Brett Maher gets the ball off the tip, brings it down, nice pass that leads to 2 points for Chris Ample.
And a 1-point ball game, South leading by 1. Under 5 minutes to go now in this exciting grand final here at the Powerhouse. And it's been a crackerjack game right from the outset.
Good offensive board by Davis. He'll go to work off the glass. 36-33. This is an excellent game, and I think that both teams are playing to their strengths. This is fun to see. Bickmore
just finding it hard to exercise an influence in this game, but you might expect that with the opposition. Super pass there by Brett Maher.
He got called for goaltending on that, and it was a good call by Jeff Weeks.
35-36. South leading by 1. The 10 assists to Mike, 5 South.
Yes, the interesting thing is South is doing a good job of getting the ball to Davis, but their running game's been pretty much non-existent, and I would say that's because they've been playing very passive defense.
And Sturt shooting at 55%, but you can put a lot of that down to Hempel. That's shooting at 78%.
That's correct, and he's had a lot of layups off of steals, and Brett Maher's laid out some nice passes for him.
Didn't quite work then.
See, right now they've got to be running, and South isn't pushing the ball up the floor, and I think that it just makes the game a little bit more difficult when you can't get some cheap buckets off the transition.
The Sturt side is hungry. This is a grand final. It's there to be won, and they're certainly not going to let this perhaps more credentialed team of South Adelaide take it without a huge fight. Great game here at the Powerhouse. Ninnis.
Nice pass by Shane Ament. Again, you have a transition bucket, 1 pass and a short shot by Scott Ninnis. Definitely,
well.
Yes, definitely. South's got to up the tempo here and start to pick up their defensive pressure on the ball.
Jeff Bickmore.
Well, it's a nice effort by Brett Wheeler to move his feet. According to the rule, if the shoulder hits the middle of the chest, which it did, then that would be a charge, and I thought it was a good call by the official.
Under 3 minutes to go now in this first half.
Scott Ninnis gets his first blow, and he's had a fine first half. He's played within himself. He's had a couple steals and a couple transition buckets.
And he's had a couple of goes from the three-point line as well, which you would expect with Davis and Wheeler inside.
Yes, there we see Shane Ahmet from a pass from Brett Wheeler on a double pump. It's just a nice athletic play.
Maher's had a great game thus far. 13 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He has worked hard. So is this man, Hempel.
Yes, he's definitely the reason why the score is 40-35 in South's favor. Sturt's been close because Chris has played. He's been that third piece to the puzzle. He's done well.
Just such a strong drive then, wasn't it? That it really drew the foul. Otherwise, he was going to score very easily.
Well, the reason Chris has had some open shots, quite frankly, is they're trying to rotate over to Maher on the penetration and help a little bit, and Chris has been a benefactor of that. He's been open.
Another strong drive there from Jason Williams, and we've seen that a couple of times so far in this game.
Yes, Jason Williams has been a role player for Sturt, a valuable role player, I might add, all season long. And he's the kind of player, when left open, he can bury the three, and he also is just a very smart player. He plays within himself and plays his role to the tee, and that speaks volumes for Sturt, because I think they're just truly a team, and they play within themselves.
But he has had 3 assists so far in this first half.
Exactly, and that's a tribute to him. He just fits in, and when he has an open shot, he'll take it.
Gets both from the line. The Sturt haven't missed from the line. 4 from 4. It's 37-40. South Adelaide by 3. 2 minutes to go in this exciting grand final.
Again, you have the isolation down low. Davis, possible three-point play right in there. On the up. Here you have the isolation. Davis going right to the cylinder. Position was on the side. I thought that was a good call by the official. And Mark has a potential three-point play here. And in their half-court offense, South has played very smart. Again, I just believe they need to add a complement of running to what they're doing in the half-court, and you'll see them spread the score even more.
Three-point play by Mark Davis. South shooting at about 47%, Sturt at 52% through the agency of Chris Hempel, and also some good scoring from Jeff Bickmore and also Brett Maher.
Foul on Mark Davis on the drive by Matthews. Mark's in good shape. He only has 1 personal foul. If he can stay away from that second one, he'll have a free and easy second half. Nice rebound by Mark Davis there. Scott Ninnis is going to push this ball. And usually that's 2. For Nunley, he hits that baseline jumper as well as anybody I've seen in this country.
Baseline move, but
block shot by Brett Wheeler.
Brett has certainly shown an ability to be able to execute that too. Nice looking move from Davis. Didn't
Good
quite
hustle
get the
play
point.
by Brett Maher.
Some unintentional contact there, right in the Adam's apple for Shane Ahmet.
Well, as you said, it's the grand final, and there no holds barred. You just got to get after it. Brett Maher was trying to clear a little path for himself, and Shane Ahmet happened to be in the way.
Right. A minute 15 to go in the first half of the grand final, and it's South by 6 points. They've just squeezed out that 6-point lead, not by doing anything startling, just by playing to their game plan.
That's what Jeff Bickmore's known for, that catch and shoot, turn baseline, and he's as good as anybody in the state league at doing that particular play right there.
43-39, 4 points. South leads by that margin. Now Ninnis will take the long shot. And off hands once again Maher. Just seems to be in the right place. No look shot to Bickmore.
Nice block by Brett Wheeler again. His second block on Bickmore. You have a foul by Brett Maher. And those are opportunities that Sturt doesn't want to lose, because they'll look back on them in the second half, and that was a coulda, shoulda, woulda been.
Yeah, and it's very draining, isn't it, when you've just got the basket set up and that happens. It's great defense.
Yeah, and Wheeler moved himself down the floor and got a piece of that, and that's just hustle, sheer hustle by Brett Wheeler.
just very comfortable at the line now, Scott Ninnis, isn't he?
Yes, he's improved his free throw shooting since last year. He spent a lot of time working on it over the break, and as you can see, he's relaxed himself quite a bit.
45-39, a half a minute to go in this first half, and it has been a good one.
You had the trap on Brett Maher there. Now the Panthers are in a rotation defense, not necessarily concerned with who they're guarding, just rotating to the ball. Nice aggressive play, taking the ball to the rim, much like what Davis did about a minute ago. I think it's a good call by the official to be consistent.
Yes, Bigmore 10 points at 50%. He's got 4 rebounds at the defensive end. They're more active at the defensive end on the board, Sturt, than at the offensive end, as you would expect, with Davis and Wheeler getting down there for the defensive rebounds. But some great shooting tonight, Mike. 43% South and 50% Sturt.
Yes, and if you're with South, you got to be concerned that your third player isn't in double figures, and Davis has got 20 and Ninnis is at the 9 mark, but after that it's pretty sparse, and quite frankly Nunnally's got to get busy here and get going, because if it's going to be a difficult game for South, it's because Nunnally's been quiet all game long. But you got to be concerned about that.
And a much better spread from Sturt, 13 Mark, 14 Hempel, and Bickmore with 10.
Yes, nice balanced scoring, and the tempo has definitely been in Sturt's favor in this first half.
Maher with 11 rebounds already, and you know what a good rebounder he is. It's a little bit in the Rose category with his rebounding, isn't he? I mean, he's just got such desire around the boards, and the 6'2" doesn't worry him. It's a bit like Chris Blakemore as well. He just wills himself up.
That's right. Nice step through move. An offensive rebound off the missed free throw, and now there's 2 more free throws here, and that's just paying attention to detail by South, and they got to be a little bit more disciplined than that.
It's a good finish to this first half by the Sturt team.
Yes, they've kept it close, and the pressure in the second half will squarely be on South.
Jeff Bickmore having a little bit of trouble from the line. So we run it down now.
They'll push the ball up the floor here and go for the last shot. Probably some form of penetration by Scott Ninnis. They didn't get the shot off in time.
So it's half-time here at the Powerhouse in this 1995 Bassett Men's Grand Final between South Adelaide and the Sturt Sabres, and it has been an outstanding game. A real grand final here. South lead at the break, 45 to Sturt 42.
$7:30 Monday on the show that's got it all.
1995 Bassett Men's Grand Final from the Clipsal Powerhouse, South Adelaide against the Sturt Sabres, and at half-time, South 45 leads Sturt 42.
Yes, South will be looking to run more, definitely, and get some balanced scoring. And in particular, Nunnally and Ninnis are going to have to turn it on. Mark Davis has done his part in the first half. For Sturt, they're going to try and continue to pressure the basketball. They've been playing in 2 gears. When they get steals, they're scoring off of them, and when they have their half-court offense, they've been going to their strengths, and that's been obviously Brett Maher, Chris Hempel, and Jeff Bickmore.
Mark Davis there, the leading scorer with 20 points, and he's got those at 53%. And really, they haven't moved from the South game plan, have they? Let's get it into Davis in close.
Right, and I think that they have to get more off their transition, and that would be Nunnally and Ninnis taking over. And
a better spread there of points from Sturt, and the great Barry Robran, 3-time Magarey medalist with his wife Tammy, and good to see Barry, a State of Origin selector. Barry Robran. About to get underway here, the second half of this 1995 Grand Final. Sturt first use of the ball through Chris Hempel. Jason Williams nowhere to go, but he gave it to big Jeff Bickmore. Mark Davis there though.
Here comes Scott Ninnis, and one pass and a shot, and there's that transition we were talking about at halftime.
Brett Maher now 13 points in the first half with 11 rebounds and 5 assists. Really the key for Sturt, along with Hampel, and also Jeff Bickmore, of course.
Well, this is where Don Shipway shines, in my opinion, is he'll make some adjustments at halftime, and you'll see this South team turn it on.
Oh,
transition bucket, layup.
Great move. That was impossible to defend, wasn't it?
That's right. Davis took it right to the hole, and you can see South is picking up the pressure on the basketball, and I would think that Don Shipway has a lot to do with that in terms of making some adjustments at halftime.
Jeff Bickmore finally mops up. It's a great move by Shane Ahmad there too. That was a very sweet shot, but pulled that out of the Robert Rose basket, I think, or perhaps out of his own basket. He's pretty special.
Yes, very athletic for his size, and I think that as they relax, those shots will go down.
49-42, so it is South by 7 points. They've come out smoking in the second half. Good rebound.
Very big rebound by Brett Wheeler. Now they have to go off their transition and not be afraid to, swing that ball to the opposite side and go to work. Nice pass by Mark Davis. You won't see it done any better. Left-handed behind the back, bounce pass to Scott Ninnis for the score. Good move by Coach Rule to call a timeout here. Ninnis, as you see, going up for the layup. Fine pass by Mark Davis. He was responsible for that basket.
Coach Mike Rule there with his players. Timeout here at the Powerhouse. South leading 51 to Sturt 42. Welcome back to the Powerhouse. South leading by 9. 51-42.
This will be an important possession for Sturt to establish and take the momentum away from South, who clearly had it going into the timeout.
Big rebound.
Basketball right here. Scott Ninnis pushing the tempo, going up for the shot in the middle of the paint. A bit of fortune there to be kissing that thing off the glass and going down.
53-42, 11 points now, South. Crucial time for Sturt. Interesting to see whether what we are seeing is a general trend for the second half, or whether or not South might have a spurt, then back off. A travel call. Things just not running at the moment.
No, Sturt would be looking to get their first score in this half, and that kind of takes the monkey off your back, but they haven't had that luck yet.
Ahmad from Adelaide. Ahmad takes the shot. No points. Mark Davis nearly, but once again Brett Maher, the king of the boards at the moment. Brett Maher.
Nice pass from Brett Maher to Chris Hampel and a score. We saw a lot of that in the first half with the Maher to Hampel connection.
Maher with 12 rebounds and 6 assists. He's pretty comfortable with the long one, Mike.
Yes, he is. That was nice ball reversal. Scott Ninnis made a nice pass to reverse the ball to Shane Ahmad. Real relaxed from that three-point line.
5 points, Shane Ahmad. Hasn't taken many shots, but he knows how to make them go in. Williams moving it around now, Sturt.
Sturt does a nice job of moving that ball around.
Once again, Mark Davis under the basket. Things running for the South team at the moment.
Yeah, they've been a bit remiss in not capitalizing on their transition buckets. That one, quite frankly, should have been down.
Matthews. Bickmore finding it hard to get a shot away. Good defense in there, South. Plenty of bodies.
If we start down on the other end, got an isolation down in there with Bickmore going for the potential three-point play. Steps through the gap when Davis doubled down. Nice strong play by Jeff Bickmore.
No real foul trouble in this game. I think Certainly not the big guns from South in no trouble at all. Mark Davis with 2 fouls. Brett Wheeler the same. Nunnally with the same. Maximum of 5 fouls in this Bassett Grand Final. 46 to 56.
Got an isolation for Davis. Screen on the ball, rolling down in there. Nice double by Sturt. Shane Atkins, fine young player in the state league. Again, Mar has propensity to be able to dig that ball out of the tough spots, and he did it again.
It's great play. 13 rebounds, Brett Maher.
If you look at his size, 13 rebounds with over 15 minutes to go in the second half, that's a statement of his effort and his integrity as a player.
6 assists also in 13 points. Can Sturt start to reverse this trend that has become apparent in the second half? Hempel drive. Nice change of hand there too by Hempel. Hard to defend. Bickmore gets the points.
He got that off a deflection of Mark Davis's hands. He's around for the garbage, and he capitalized on it. Shane Ament being aggressive by taking it to the basket, but he went up against the 6'8" Jeff Bickmore for the block.
Jason Williams doesn't mind the hard drive.
The thing that's interesting is Sturt just doesn't lose their poise. They play as a team. Even though they're down by 10 points, they chip away. Bickmore gets a little cheap bucket. They get the stop down here, and if they can get a score here, this game's tight again.
Sure is. It's a grand final, of course, the 1995 Bassett Men's Grand Final. Let's see what Sturt can do. Maher under the basket.
Nice little back cut by Maher on Scott Ninnis for the potential layup. Atkins rotates over to foul him. Shooting free throws at a 90% clip. It's a good bet that Maher will capitalize on this situation.
He's been there twice in this game.
I do my best to jinx him.
No problems with the second. 49 to 56. So Sturt have just dragged it back a bit.
In this situation, some of the other players got to continue to move when Mark Davis gets the ball and step up and score in their half-court offense. Nice offensive board by Davis.
The Ninnis move to Amat worked the first time, just not quite on the second occasion.
Now, Davis was there for the offensive rebound, but couldn't capitalize on the short 8-footer off the glass.
Well, I think the big man is making a statement. He is a key player. He was perhaps down marginally by his standards in the first half, but boy, he's got a big job to do, but certainly playing well in the second half.
As you pointed out in the first half, Nunnally's just barely missing those. They're rolling around the rim, and if he's Jason Williams showing some of the class that he has. Nice little step-through move on the baseline side with a little up and under fake. And Sturt's worked themselves right back into this game, 56-53 South.
Yes, which is great to see. Because the mindset from South Adelaide may well be that we've got the better credentials. And they may feel as a team, somehow or other, that they can do it in spurts. But against this Sturt side, they might pay for it if they do have that mindset.
Well, that's the balanced scoring that South needs. They need somebody else other than Mark Davis to step up and start pulling some shots. And the thing I think is that their defense hasn't quite been there. They're not putting enough pressure on the ball. As witnessed right there, Brett Maher had a free look, and you just can't give Brett Maher a free look from the three.
59 to 56. Great game of basketball here in this grand final. Sturt taking it right up to the highly fancied South Adelaide. Mark Davis for the tap-in didn't work. No doubt that Jeff Bickmore has lifted his work rate. He's out there to be counted. Coach Don Shipway gave the call, but I don't quite think the umpire saw it that way. The referee, should I say.
These are always tough calls, but I think that Shane Ament definitely was there, and that was a charge without question on the replay.
12 minutes 48 seconds to go in this grand final, and you've got to give it to this Sturt team. They scraped into the 4 ahead of North Adelaide on percentage. They defeated Forestville in the first semi-final, then defeated West Adelaide. In fact, destroyed West Adelaide in the preliminary final. So they've got winning finals form, as we said in the first half, and that's very special. It's infectious, and don't count this Sturt side out.
They're playing to their strengths. They work the ball around, and they've had some nice balanced scoring. You've got a nice seasoned player in Matthews, and he saw that he had an isolation against Wheeler, the bigger player, and he just took him on the penetration. That's a very heady play by Matthews.
So it's 58-59, and big Jeff Bickmore doing more. 10 rebounds, 9 at the defensive end, and his 17 points have come at 57%. So he's in there fighting. Mark Davis, suddenly those shots start to miss.
That's right. As I pointed out in the first half, if Sturt could keep this thing close, then the pressure is squarely on South's shoulders, and those shots get tougher to make.
Temple.
That turnover was caused by Scott Ninnis. He rotated over and he pressured Hampel into that turnover. Here you have Scott Ninnis right up and in Chris, and an errant pass off of Jason Williams' hands. South needs to get a little quicker ball movement and get that ball into other people besides Davis. They become one-dimensional in this half, and if they're not running, then everything's being transferred through Mark's hands, and the other players have got to quit standing around. They're going to have to, assert themselves a bit more.
And the Sturt tempo, Mike, has been steady, hasn't it, right from the outset, whereas South has been in fits and starts, and that can get dangerous towards the end of the game.
We have Mark Davis isolated down low here off the glass. And I think South's going to have to, again, bring up their pressure on the basketball, because Sturt's had their way. They've had great looks at the basket. They've got the ball in people's hands to where they want it. And South is just reacting to what Sturt's doing with their offense.
Mark Davis sucked in the big rebound. Great transition. Ended up with Scott Ninnis, and a very slick move from Brett Wheeler there. He just didn't have the ball long at all.
Right, and Scott is an athlete, and he showed his athleticism by being able to double pump that ball, and he's got great legs.
Gee, great move from Jason Williams, and great isolation there too, Chris Hampel. So they've got some plays that are pretty exciting too, this Sturt team.
The thing that's good about Sturt is they play simple meat and potatoes basketball. Little penetration there. He drew another player over, just kicked it off to Chris, and you got the score. Offensive rebound. Mark's been a real presence this half.
Once again, the athleticism and the judgment and anticipation of Brett Maher. 14 rebounds, mind you. Now the big man takes a shot. Doesn't go down, though. Brett Maher, sensational. Oh.
Not only is that a sensational shot, but he had to go through traffic to dig that thing out. Here you have Brett Maher going over the top, right into the paint, stealing this ball, and making a two-pointer. Fine play.
Baseline run there by Ron Nunnally, should I say. Get that right. 62-63. Sturt trails by 1.
Yeah, Ronnie's been noticeably absent in this game, and sometimes those things happen, but the class of a player in a game like this usually comes out, and it might come out in the last minute of this game, but Ron Nunnally will be heard from.
Timeout called here at the Powerhouse with 10 minutes 21 seconds to go in this Crackerjack Grand Final here. Sturt 62, trails South 63. Welcome back to the Clipsal Powerhouse. Just over 10 minutes to go in this 1995 Grand Final. South against Sturt. Sturt fought their way into this final series, and they're fighting all the way in the Grand Final. Turnover. No, a good fight in there by Brett Wheeler, and he can fight high and low, can't he?
Definitely. He's got a great heart, good scrapper, and he went down on the ground to get it, and that's 6'10", and that just doesn't come easy for him. South's got to take advantage of the situation. Obviously, they have a little bit of disparity here in terms of inches, but last time we saw this, South didn't get the tip.
This time, Matt Nunnally, baseline shot.
Nunnally continues to struggle from short distance, and that's rare, but sometimes that happens.
Oop. Chris Hempel just thought that Jason Williams was on a forward move, and
that doesn't happen too much to Sturt. It's an unusual thing, so but that, again, it's just part of the grand finals.
Under 10 minutes to go now in this game. An exciting grand final. It's got all the intensity and the passion that you would expect. Big crowd here as well. Scott Ninnis up to 19 points now.
That's a good matchup between Brett Maher and Scott Ninnis. They're good friends, but they sure like to compete against each other. I'm fortunate I get to see it every day in practice.
Both got 19 points and 6 assists. Of course, Brett's doing some extraordinary work on the boards.
Well, it's these little things that I think that Sturt has capitalized on. Chris was around the ball. He picked it up off the ground, and he went to the rim. And I think they're just playing with a touch more desperation, and they're a little more relaxed. And that happens a lot of times with the underdog.
My word, particularly in a grand final. Things start to get a little bit desperate as you count down the final minutes.
And we have 9.5 minutes to go in this game, and it's been a great game for the spectators, and I sure enjoyed calling it.
Chris Hempel just gets them another point closer, 63 to 65. Mark Davis obviously a key, Mike, and he's played a lot of basketball.
Ron Nunley going to work on the baseline. Potential three-point play here. Nunley's as good as anybody in the state league at taking people baseline. Nice little floater from about 4 feet, and he gets bumped by Matthews. Score 67-63. Make that 68.
You see any tiredness factor coming in with Mark Davis at all?
I see a little bit there, and I also see that Brett Maher is starting to fatigue a little bit.
Interesting shot.
Yes, that is something that Jason has been able to do all season long, is bury that deep three-point shot. It looks a little bit funny, but it goes in.
The difficulty with Sturt with that shot is that if it doesn't hit, they really give the ball up, don't they?
Yeah. Not only working hard to see if he can put that ball in the hole. Good hustle by Ron Nunley and Mark Davis to keep that ball alive on the glass. I think Wheeler was in there too for an offensive tip.
Seeing some real grand final desperation here as we have another timeout called at the powerhouse. 8.5 minutes to go, and it is a tight one. South Adelaide leading 68 to Sturt 66. Welcome back to the Clipsal Powerhouse. 8.5 minutes to go. The crowd has really revved up here in this grand final game. Brett Wheeler moving it around now south against this defense. Well, once again, it's unusual.
Sturt's kept the ball close, or kept the score close. And South's going to have to get some easy baskets. That can come off the offensive boards, the free throw line, or more importantly in the transition game. And if Sturt can hold on to the tempo, this thing's going to go down to the wire.
Great reflex by Davis, but Sturt get it back. Big Jeff Bickmore tries to, no, he passes off. Good move too.
As we saw down there, Sturt got the loose ball, and they've been able to do that all game long. Tie score. The pressure is definitely on South now to produce.
The call is on Dean Matthews there, which he acknowledges.
And Dean's picked up his 4th foul, which is very substantial. He's really, really important to this team. He is their smarts, in my opinion. He really settles things down. He's a seasoned veteran. Nunley going to work from short distance, and this thing's not going to go down to the wire. Ron Nunley's going to have to assert himself.
And of course, he can be in the worst possible shape and can still assert himself, can't he? He's just one of those unusual bodies. Wow.
Brett Maher showing his class. Picks up 4 points. and now Sturt has the lead. This is great.
He's just a very special player, Brett Maher. 23 points, 6 assists, 15 rebounds, do you mind? And you can tell this is a grand final. We've got desperate players and two desperate teams out there. Mark Davis, and that's what he does best.
That was a nice desperation play by Chris Hampel, I might add. And Scott Ninnis picked up the loose ball and bounced past it right into Mark Davis, who went to work.
Now Sturt. They've stood up to be counted, Sturt. They're going all the way in this game. Turnover, Amat, way goes south. Can they score on this move? Brett Wheeler, no. Yes.
Ron Nunley getting the scraps around the offensive boards. Nice pass by Shane Amat to Brett Wheeler.
Well, this is where both teams just free up and really go for it.
This is exciting basketball. It's 74-72. Brett Maher with the ball in his hands.
Good judgment there by Jeff Bickmore. Great judgment.
Sturt is, to me, is just playing with a sense of desperation. They've almost got every loose ball in this game. And again, Bickmore picks up the scraps and puts the short one in. Nice bank shot. That's a signature shot by Mark Davis.
Now can Sturt repeat the dose? It's been score for score in the last minute or so. 74-76.
This tempo lends itself to Sturt. They're just controlling the half-court game here and moving the ball around and taking some nice wide-open shots. This is how they played all year long. They're very comfortable at this pace.
Temple gets in close, takes the shot. Thought about the left hand for a while.
Now this is the kind of missed basket with I think that Sal's got a run on. That's what Shane's trying to do there.
Brett Maher, what can he do with this? Tough opposition there, and great move, Jeff Bickmore. Wow. Big Jeff Bickmore knew that he had to make some yards to get there, Mike.
Bickmore has picked up the scraps all game long. He's a fine player, and he was there to receive the foul from the big fella, Brett Wheeler.
He really had to anticipate that the Maher shot wasn't going to make it. He had to read it that way, didn't he?
Right, and the other thing that should be pointed out is that Sturt's shooting a fine percentage from the free throw line.
Well, 76 apiece. Scores level here at the Powerhouse. 4 minutes, 40 seconds to go. It's an old cliche, but anyone's game here. The 1995 Grand Final. Ron Nunley, no points. Brett Maher again. Played a super game. Jason Williams, great draw, gets in close. No points on the first shot. Mark Davis. Exciting stuff here. Ron Nunley under the basket. Never misses from there.
That was a nice pass from Scott Ninnis to Nunley. Short corner there. One dribble right on the rim. Ron Nunley does that as well as anybody.
Well, the pace has been on from the very outset here, and you might ask the question about fitness. Bickmore.
Sal's trying to pick up the pressure on the basketball. Nice passing by Sturt here.
Oh, well, tough shot.
This is such a great game. It's 78 all. I know the spectators are loving it. This game's going to come down to smarts. We'll see who can execute best in the last 3:30.
Davis. Great work by Maher. Davis likes a mat. Eight seconds on the shot clock. Davis turns around, loves that shot. And it rolled out of the basket like a golf putt. You excuse me, if that went in, it would have been exciting.
This game's got a little bit of everything to it. This is fun basketball. Just fantastic play by Sturt. I can't say enough about the desperation that they're playing with. They're all over the offensive glass. And again, you can see Scott Ninnis getting frustrated with Brett Maher down in there. You got a little shove, a little friendly competition. That's nice. Brotherly love.
Oh, yeah. Davis, Dennis. This is red-hot competition here at the powerhouse. Sturt and South, hammer and tong.
Really depending upon Davis to do it all here, and I think some of the other players have got to look to score other than Mark Davis.
30 points and 19 rebounds, Mark Davis.
It's amazing how this game always comes down to defense and getting that one key stop. This would be a situation where South really needs to get a stop against Sturt. Sturt's just trying to take their time to get a good shot.
No points, but once again, Brett Maher was there. And he's still there. Off goes Nunnally.
In basketball, we call that the big play. We'll look back on that play, and I guarantee you we'll call that the big play. Here it comes. Nunnally off the steal by Ninnis. Takes it to the hole, gets a slap on the wrist. That's a huge play. 2 minutes to go.
Ron Nunnally has come into the game in this second half. He's got 18 points now, so it's a 5-point ball game. Can Sturt come again?
And here again you get to see Sturt's patience and their poise. They're moving the ball. It's like there's 20 minutes left. This is good to see. Well-coached team.
It's in. Chris Hampel. That was well structured.
Yeah, very, very well structured. This is a lot of fun just to see them play this way. South, the execution is on them. Nunnally's been going to work. There you go. We talked about Nunnally at halftime. It's hard to keep a good player down, and when the game's meaningful, there he is.
Yes, he's jumped out to become their third scorer for South Adelaide. 80-85. Sturt down by that 5-point margin. Just over a minute to go. Brett Maher. The call is on Ron Nunnally there.
Reach-in foul there. Brett Maher using his smarts. Take the ball to the hole, force the foul, get the clock to stop. 109. That's using your head. Scores 85-80. These free throws are huge.
Wheeler and Nunnally on 4 fouls, 4 personal fouls. Brett Maher. Got a fair bit of poise, Brett Maher.
Yes, he does. He's all class.
Just over a minute to go, Mike.
One of those possessions where you've got to get execution, and again, South wants to play with the same kind of poise. That's a 17-year-old in a very tight situation. He's got a lot of ability.
You said he was very special, and that proved it. Great defense, South.
Now, time and score become a factor. They got to foul. They got to stop the clock here. There's no sense in letting the clock beat you. You got to go in and foul, force them to make their free throws. That's a smart play.
Big more on Wheeler for the foul that Mike Dunlap called at 35.8 seconds to go in this game. It'll be South from the sideline.
They got a foul right away. This ball comes in bounds. They're fouling.
5 points. South
5
leading
points.
by.
They need 2 possessions. There's no way you let the clock run out. You got to foul.
Matt Davis. So they're stretching it out now.
Yeah.
Well set up by Davis. But now Sturt get the ball that they wanted. Maher was surrounded, lost the ball, they got it back. This is important, no points.
All South has to do is just hold the ball.
3.4 seconds to go. The call is on Chris Hampel.
Stranger things have happened.
Yes.
They get a timeout if Scott gets if Scott gets the one free throw, then it's out of sight. But again, stranger things have happened. We've seen that in the past.
We sure have. I can remember Canberra coming to Adelaide recently. Yes, 84-87. Basketball's pretty healthy in Adelaide at the moment, Mike.
I think so. There's some nice young talent coming up, and I can't say enough about the organization of the State League. I think that the clubs do a fine job. I think that the administration from Bassa on down, it's the strongest state league in Australia, and as witnessed tonight, 87-84, spectators definitely received their money's worth.
$2, you're dead right. Oh dear, oh dear. And some just high quality basketball. I mean, there just hasn't been a down part of the game. I mean, in every discipline, in every part of the game, it has just been good stuff.
Yes, again, being a coach, I have to credit Don Shipway and Mike Rule. I mean, both of them can be proud of their troops tonight. And they've done this all season long. Don Shipway has 2 championships under his belt. He's on the verge of getting his 3rd. And Mike Rule is going to be around for a lot of years coaching. This is his first year, but you can see he's got the talent.
Yes, 3.4 seconds to go as the 1995 State League season winds down. And that'll be all she wrote. But you've got to tip your hat to both sides here, both coaches. We've got 0.4 of a second to go. So you can't say you've seen the strange things happens now, Mike. I think that's it.
With 35 seconds to go, Sturt definitely should have fouled because they had fouls to give. And that was probably the only mistake they made all game long. They played a great game.
They shot 50%. They did extremely well on the defensive boards. And that was all desire because they haven't got much physique. Davis.
It's nice to see Mark Davis cap this game off. He's been class since he walked into this town, and it's just fun to see him get another championship in the State League.
Well, there it is. An outstanding grand final here at the Powerhouse. A tribute to the players and coaches of both clubs. Just an outstanding game, and that will be remembered for a long, long time. Certainly South Adelaide the favourite, Mike, but this Sturt side really played the grand final as a grand final, and they were in there all the time.
Well, it's a team sport, and I think that Sturt exemplified the word team. And I think that South definitely played to their strengths when it really counted, and hence they were the winners.
Mark, what a great win for South Adelaide. Personal accolade, 32 points and 19 rebounds.
Well, you know, we're just out there just trying to, you know, pick away and just try to stay in front. And Sturt played a great game tonight, as you can see. And, you know, hey, listen, they came after us tonight, and it's good to see that, you know, our boys and everything like that sort of maintained their composure and sort of got the job done tonight.
Started the second half, you pulled away from them, but slowly but surely Sturt kept on coming back, especially Brett Maher shot a very high percentage tonight. Oh yeah, and that's credit to them. We've had problems with Brett the whole night, and you know, he makes some big shots on us, and that's what champions and everything like that is made of. You know what I mean? He kept his team together, and he made some big plays for him, and so it's a great credit to Brett and the Sturt Pioneers, and just good to see that, like I said, for us to come out with the victory tonight. Don Shipway would have been happy coming back into the Bank SA League, coming off with a premiership win. Oh yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, you know, Don said before he came back that he didn't come back to lose, and it's good that the guys responded to that. I mean, we wanted to put in a good season this year. I don't know how many more State League games I'll be playing and everything, so it's definitely good to just not knowing whether or not this is my last one or not. It's definitely good to go out in the bang, so, you know, I'm just happy for me and Don and all the rest of the guys, and we're going to just try to enjoy it tonight.
We hope you've enjoyed it also. The 1995 Bassa Men's Grand Final. South Adelaide has run out the winner in a titanic struggle, 89 to Sturt, 84.